What if everything you've ever been told about life, death, and reality itself has been upside down? What if the struggles you carry, the guilt you've been taught to feel, the sense that you were born incomplete, were all based on one gigantic misunderstanding? Today, I want to invite you into a different way of seeing yourself and your place in the universe. Not as a broken being in need of repair, not as a sinner begging for forgiveness, not as a machine running on chance chemicals, but as something far more extraordinary, a conscious creator in an infinite field of possibilities. Let's start with something bold. You exist right now in more than one version. While you're here listening, there are other yous making different choices. The version that took the job you didn't. The version that stayed single when you married. The version that lives in another country, another century, even another world entirely. These aren't metaphors or daydreams. They're real, complete realities. And the fascinating part is this. You are constantly sharing information across these versions of yourself. Ever had a dream that felt like a memory? A sudden fear that didn't make sense? Or a flash of talent you never practiced? Those are fragments from other lives flowing through. You're not limited to this one storyline. You're part of a living web of simultaneous selves. Now, think about what that means for intuition. That sudden inner nudge to take a different route home. The feeling that you should call someone. The instant you meet a person and sense you can't trust them. We've been taught to brush these impulses off as irrational. But what if they are the most rational guidance you'll ever receive? What if they're signals from your wider self, drawing on the experience of your other versions? A version of you may be facing betrayal right now, and the warning filters through. Another may have avoided disaster by turning left instead of right, and that wisdom comes as a quiet impulse. The deeper truth is this: intuition isn't random. It's communication between realities. And when you ignore it, you cut yourself off from the most profound navigation system you have. Let's shift gears. For centuries, both science and religion have told a story about what you are. Science insists that you are matter first, and that consciousness somehow emerged when molecules combined just right. Religion insists you are a sinner, a fallen being needing salvation. Both of these stories have shaped our world, and both are wrong. You are not matter that happened to become conscious. You are consciousness first. Matter is simply consciousness arranging itself into physical form. That's why every atom in your body has intelligence. Every cell in you chooses to do its part. Your heart doesn't beat out of obligation. It beats because the very consciousness that forms it finds joy in rhythm. Your liver doesn't process toxins mechanically. It knows what it is doing and chooses to fulfill that role. You are not a machine. You are a symphony of awareness playing in harmony. And yet, we've been convinced otherwise. We've been told that the body is dirty, weak, and corrupt. That pleasure is dangerous. That joy is suspect. That suffering somehow purifies us, makes us noble. But look closer. Every genuine moment of joy, whether in eating, laughing, dancing, or loving, feels deeply right because it is deeply right. Pleasure is not the opposite of spirituality. It is spirituality in action. The body is not the enemy of the soul. It is the soul in physical expression. When you dance, consciousness dances. When you taste food, consciousness tastes. When you hold someone you love, consciousness embraces itself through form. To deny the body is to deny the very stage consciousness has chosen to play on. Now, let's talk about beliefs. Here's a truth that may sound radical. Your beliefs don't just color how you see the world. They literally form the world you experience. If you believe the world is dangerous, you will not just feel anxious. You will create situations that confirm danger. If you expect betrayal, you will not just worry. You will unconsciously shape the conditions for betrayal to occur. If you believe money is scarce, opportunities will slip past your eyes unnoticed, or you'll sabotage them when they appear. This isn't attraction in the shallow sense. It's formation. Reality is not something that exists out there waiting for you. It is something you are actively constructing with every sustained thought and expectation. Consider two people in the same job, with the same salary, the same boss. One thrives, feels supported, and finds new opportunities. The other is constantly stressed, undervalued, and frustrated. How can the same conditions produce such different outcomes? The difference isn't luck, it isn't talent, it's beliefs. One person is organizing their reality around expansion, the other around scarcity. Change the belief, and the reality must reorganize to match it. And this reorganization isn't gradual, it can be instant. A woman who has spent years in destructive relationships can shift her belief about her worth, and immediately, reality reshuffles. The very people who mistreated her change their behavior or disappear altogether. New relationships appear that match her new frequency. Her world literally reforms itself. And this brings us to one of the most liberating truths of all. You are not defective. You are not broken. You are not here to suffer through tests and debts. You are here because consciousness itself wanted to express as you, not as a punishment, not as a trial, but as an addition to the universe that could not exist in any other way. You are unique, not because of struggle, but because of presence. Every cell in your body agreed to form you out of enthusiasm. Every breath, every heartbeat is proof of that enthusiasm. You are blessed simply by existing. The idea of original sin, the belief that you began flawed, has been one of the most destructive lies humanity has ever accepted. Because when you believe you start defective, every action becomes an attempt to fix what never needed fixing. You will never rest. You will never be enough. And that's how control systems, whether religious or societal, keep you obedient. But here's the real secret. You never needed fixing. You needed remembering. Let's pause and ask a question. What happens when you live from joy instead of obligation? Watch a child at play. She doesn't calculate whether laughter is appropriate. She doesn't analyze whether climbing the tree is logical. She follows impulse. She follows joy. And in that joy, she learns faster, grows stronger, connects more deeply than any forced instruction could ever achieve. Development doesn't come from suffering, it comes from play. Creativity doesn't come from obligation, it comes from enthusiasm. And your cells know this. Your atoms know this. It's only the cultural programming that tells you otherwise. So what about death? The fear that shadows so many lives. When you understand simultaneity, death dissolves as a concept, because there is no final end. Death is simply one version of you closing a book and shifting focus, while countless others continue. You are alive in Rome 2,000 years ago. You are alive in futures not yet imagined. You are alive in worlds where history unfolded differently. And when one version ceases, the consciousness that animates it flows elsewhere. Nothing is lost. The reader continues, only the story changes. That is why children sometimes recall other lives so vividly. They haven't yet been taught to pretend time is linear. That is why déjà vu strikes, because versions of you converge for a moment at the same point. That is why genius often looks miraculous, because some people are more open to borrowing skill from their parallel selves. Mozart at 5 wasn't just gifted, he was connected. The implications are massive. If you can share across lives, then your growth here benefits all of you. When you overcome fear, other versions feel lighter. When you expand compassion, they all open. When you heal, you don't just heal yourself, you ripple healing across dimensions. And it works both ways. That sudden surge of creativity, it may have come from a you who has already mastered it elsewhere. You are not just one life. You are a network, a constellation of consciousness experiencing itself in endless ways. So what does this mean practically? It means that the authority over your life is yours and yours alone. No priest, no guru, no therapist, no teacher has the blueprint for your path. They can share tools, they can inspire, but the final compass is within you. That deep resonance you feel in your chest when something is true, that's your guide. That impulse that keeps returning no matter how illogical, that's your roadmap. The more you trust yourself, the less you need external validation. The more you act from inner alignment, the freer you become from manipulation. And this is what true empowerment looks like. Being able to stand in your experience even when the world disagrees, and knowing your truth is enough. Now let's bring it all together. You are consciousness playing as matter. You are joy, wearing the mask of struggle only when you forget. You are infinite, pretending to be finite so you can explore new perspectives. And in every moment you are forming reality itself. Not someday, not when you're enlightened enough. Now, with each thought, each belief, each expectation, you are scripting the play of your life. The question isn't whether you're creating. You always are. The question is, are you creating consciously or unconsciously? Are you forming reality out of fear and borrowed lies, or are you forming it out of trust, joy, and your own authority? The invitation is simple, though not always easy. Listen to your impulses, trust your joy, recognize your body as sacred, question the beliefs that tell you you're broken, and remember, existence is joy here and now without condition. Every breath you take is proof. Every heartbeat is an affirmation. You don't need to suffer for worthiness. You don't need to transcend humanity. You don't need to be saved. You are already the blessing you've been searching for.